12:06 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. That music of your life must be of your life. And we'll get to our show today, helping seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper, and of course, our host and executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard is here as always, and that is none other than Kerry Fink. And Kerry, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John Harper. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, I would say. And it's always great to gather around the radio here at lunchtime on 90.3 FM, WEJF. And also we want to say hello to those who join us online at 90.3 is the FM dial, but WEJF.net is how you pick us up if you're listening to us online. And also hello to those who will hear this show later on, because it goes out podcast world on everything from Apple iTunes to Amazon Podcasts to Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all of that. And so it's always great to welcome you to our Lunchtime Gathering Wednesdays here on the radio. And on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, and also Nancy Deerdorf, our operations director, want to welcome you into the broadcast. We've got so much good things to cover. On the show with me today is none other than Vicki Moore. Vicki Moore has been a friend of the Helping Seniors Network for quite a while. She's been involved. We initially met her through her work with Care Plus as an agent, and now she's gone big time. She's independent, still represents Care Plus, but has added a lot of other products to her portfolio. She's a Medicare expert, and if you know anything about how the cycle of the year works, as September and October are just around the corner, your mailbox is going to start getting flooded with information about Medicare options, and they're going to ask you to check your plan and figure out what you want to do for the next year, and has your plan this year worked out, and oh, by the way, there's been changes. And so Vicki is going to be here with us and start to help us decoding all of that, because she has been busy with studies all summer on learning about changes to Medicare. So we're going to be talking about that. Another friend that we want to welcome into the radio program today is somebody that I just met recently, but he's a lifelong resident of this area. His name is Dave Armstrong. And Dave, among other things, you're known for being a builder, and you have some real insights to all the things that the county is facing in terms of affordable housing. And we're going to spend some time today talking about that. And then also, you've thrown a hat in the ring, and you're busy now for the I guess one of the commission seats and working towards that. Say hello and talk a little bit, because you've been here longer than probably all of us have, maybe.
Yeah. Again, my name's Dave Armstrong. I'm running for County Commissioner District 4, but my reason for being here today is affordable housing, and it's just in a very bad state for our residents in Brevard and throughout the state and throughout the country. And it's doable, but it's got to be a mesh with government, suppliers, and the likes. And material has grown so fast and so hard that the normal person cannot afford a house,
right?
Even if they have dual incomes. And then, of course, the taxes and the repairs and the demand on landlords has gotten very high and hard, which has caused rate increases in the rent. And that's another burden that's on the people that live here in Brevard.
Yeah, it's been very difficult. Vicki Moore, who not only, as we were bragging on you, saying that you're like an expert on all things Medicare, and we're going to talk about some of the upcoming things, but you also serve on our board of directors, as does John Harper, who is faithfully manning the controls here at the broadcast. And you guys have really seen what's happened with the challenges of affordable housing. It's kind of neat to see as a homeowner when you see the value of your home go up, and they tell you every month, oh, it increased this much. And then, of course, you get the tax bill to go with it, right? And then you get the insurance bill to go with it, because they say now your house would cost this much to rebuild, whereas 2 years ago it was only this much. So you're getting all these increases. But as a homeowner, in your head, you're like, well, that's okay. At least my house is worth more. But the problem is, if you're a senior, well, if you're just a person and you're a renter, you're in a whole lot. Maybe you own your home and you've owned it for years, but you're on a fixed income. Maybe right there you're having trouble with your taxes and you're paying your insurance bill and those kind of things. But can you imagine when you're a senior and you're renting a place, what that actually means? Because We've talked about this. Nancy Deerdorf, our operations director, she's taking now, Dave and Vicki, more than 400 calls every month. And she says the vast majority of those have been about housing. And usually the story goes something like this. I've rented this place. I've been here 7 years, 12 years, 15 years. I was paying $800 a month, $600 a month, $1,000 a month, what you pick a number. And the story usually winds up the same place. The person that owned it, retired, they sold it, they got, and now the person who's bought it is telling me I got to spend $400, $600, $800 more per month for the same place I'm living in. I'm on a fixed income. I can't do that. We talk about this. If you're, maybe you're able-bodied, your 20s, 30s, 40s, you say, okay, it is what it is. I'll take a second job. I'll go work overtime. I'll do what it takes to make sure I can afford to have a place to live. But what do you do when you're 70 or better and you're trying to figure out how you actually make this go? And these are the calls that Nancy confronts every single day.
Yeah. Now, there are some things out there that can help you harden your house, get better insurance rates. But the newest thing is the roofing, and there's some programs out there. One's called PACE, where they have a reasonable financing program, but still, that financing program comes with a payment. Mm-hmm. And the insurance people, and of course this is a deep, deep subject, they're allowed to up their rates because you're on a national grid, if you will. So if something bad happens out in Tennessee, floods and stuff, Mississippi, it all trickles down to us. We haven't had a bad hurricane, but it's not if, it's when. And right. So now the insurance companies are turning down 10-year roofs that could possibly be good for another 20 years, but they have a new set of rules. And so for a senior to come up with $25,000, $35,000, $40,000 for a roof is just egregious. It can't happen.
Yeah, it's not only that, there's so many factors that go into this whole discussion that we have about this. Joe Steckler, our president and founder, he's done a whole series. He writes articles. You pick him up every place you go. He's in everything from Hometown News to Aldea Today, Ebony News Today, Barefoot Tattler. Wherever there's a paper, you're going to find Joe in there advocating for seniors. And so one of the things that he's done a series, I think it's 5 or 6 columns now, where he's been talking about that, because I think the problem, Dave, is that so many people don't even understand that this has become, it's like the dark side of the success we're seeing on the value of property going up. It's really creating a lot of displacement. And so, yes, people say, well, we need more affordable housing, but Nancy talks to the affordable housing we have in the area, and then, the waiting list is like just forever long. And I think one of the things, we were talking about this, I sit on a group called the Brevard Commission on Aging, whose role is supposedly to be giving information to the Brevard County Board of Commissioners about the things that are important to seniors. And I can tell you this has become like the hot topic. Every time we meet monthly up at the government chambers. And Dr. Potomsky, who is the head of that, he chairs that group, and then Phil Keschlein from AARP, he's come down here and joined us on the radio because this is the number one thing. I mean, Nancy herself is taking calls from housing services there at Brevard County. 211 calls us because we're all trying to solve this situation. And so one of the interesting things that Dr. Potomsky was saying is he said it was so important, and Joe would certainly echo this as well, because Joe has talked about this for years, that we really need Brevard County commissioners to sense what the plight is for seniors who are on these, they're stuck on, they don't have, it's not like the increase trickles down to them. They're just stuck,
Well, and two, the seniors over the years, if they've stayed in their home, they have certain benefits.
Right.
And these benefits are great, but it makes it so they can't move.
Right.
They just can't. And so with the state regulations of allowing them to have more and more discounts on their property tax, if you will,
right,
it's also the devil's in the details.
Right.
And so you have these beautiful homes that take literally $500 to $1,000 a month to keep up.
Right.
And they don't know where to turn, and it's wrong. And it seems like, from what I've experienced and saw and heard from my friends in that business, the kids just got their own thing to do and can't really help out. And,
Right.
and I'll just leave that there. But more and more we see where they can't move, they can't keep up with the maintenance, the house gets in distress. It could even be code enforcement gets involved, and yet they'd be great in a 2-bedroom apartment if we could produce enough of those, which I say no reason why we can't, to get them into a better sustainable house with a lower cost of maintenance.
Yeah, we're really curious to see what's kind of around the bend on this. For example, the city of Palm Bay received almost the better part of $10 million in ARPA money, and they just put out a call for grants. They want to tackle this affordable housing thing, and they've actually got a pot of like $5 million that is specifically for affordable housing. And I was talking a little bit with Joe. We're a little bit too small of an organization to be able to do this directly, but we certainly support the concept and are going to try to find ways to work with agencies who are doing this. But the question is kind of like the city council is going to have to figure out what they're going to do. They're not going to put it out to like the CDBG board and let them decide. It's actually apparently the city council themselves is going to look at it and try to make a decision. And so, we had to attend a couple of technical workshop meetings where they're explaining how they're going to work with this. And so some of the things that we're hearing some people have an idea that they want to buy a property, fix it up, make it for affordable housing, and so on. And I remember not too long ago, it was pre-COVID, but it wasn't that far. Helping Seniors we've been in operation for now. We're in our 12th year of serving the county, but I think this was shortly before COVID kind of started to impact things. And I remember Joe Steckler, our president and founder, was called into a meeting down in Brevard County because there was a fairly wealthy developer from Brazil who wanted to undertake an affordable housing project. And so they were in this meeting and they called Joe to come in and basically, as we would do, advocate on behalf of the seniors. And the whole discussion centered around impact fees and things like that, because what the developer was arguing generally, and I don't know the specifics, but in general, he was saying, like, you're trying to create affordable housing, but you've got all these fees that actually make it now not affordable. And isn't this one of the challenges if we're going to get serious about affordable housing? We have to find a way to not make that as heavy a part of the equation or something, I guess.
Well, absolutely. We just, in my company, have 2 permits pulled, and we were allowed to pay our impact fees at the end of the construction process. And I was reviewing the paperwork. I think the permits were like $2,300 to $2,600, and then ancillary fees for driving, for this, for that, was right at $10,000.
Wow.
Now, that's $10,000 for an 1,800 square foot house or a 2,000 square foot house. That's plus appendages, porches, and garages, or a 10,000 square foot house. And we fought for that for years through the home builders and contractors of Brevard, and we were told it's too cumbersome to put a fee to a square foot. So those are things we have to get above.
Wow.
We have to say, okay, it's necessary to be cumbersome.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to say one of the things that was intriguing when you and I got a chance to meet, and we met for the first time actually out in connection with the Helping Seniors car raffle. We were all out at the Mazda store, the Boniface Hires Mazda store, and we were there celebrating for the Mazda, which is one of the 4 cars you could win in the car raffle. We'll talk more about that later. But I was thinking, like, with your experience as a builder, you sort of understand the cost structure, you understand the whole process, you understand the finances that are involved, both from a land use perspective, but also from what it actually takes to take it from a piece of land to a place somebody can live in.
Yeah, we've done that through assistance programs, but actually when the housing market kind of slowed down, I got a better word for it, but it's not for radio. We went to work for Brevard County, and you had to have, credentials and $1 million policies, et cetera. And we rehabbed up in the Cocoa Rockledge area about 15 homes. We had a budget, and it was modestly profitable, but it was a feel good. We still have 4 of those 15 homes for assistance, but it was for the military that retired. And and they couldn't make over this or that. And if they did, they went out on the general public to rent, and we took that house. And the rent still is $800 a month. And we've had these houses for 10 years. And these are, in my portfolio, these are the best paying people out there.
Yeah.
Because they know they've got a great deal. So we take a $60,000 house and put $150,000 in improvements. We didn't put lipstick on it. We did it.
Wow. Well, and I was thinking about that even as we were talking through about these kind of things. The challenge is, and I've heard this discussed in the Brevard Commission on Aging meetings, and this is from people who literally work in that department, who are they're quote called staff in those meetings, and they're talking about the fact that there's some really good programs out there, but they don't work for people because, for example, they were talking about a down payment assistance program, and they said this is really designed to help people collect the monies they need to be able to do the down payment on the house. And it's designed for people who are basically income challenged, who don't have the savings or the resources or equity someplace else they can pull from. And she said the problem is we can't give that money away because you can get that down payment assistance because you qualify for it, but then you can't get the mortgage for the rest of it because your income doesn't hit. So you're kind of like, the money's in the fund, but we can't do anything with it.
That is so absolutely true. So we did keep the rentals, and we have not turned one renter yet. Now, the upside is they have a beautiful home. It's energy efficient.
Sure.
So on and so forth. The downside is they haven't moved income-wise.
Right.
So they could make this a hand up instead of a hand out. And that's sad that they did not have that opportunity to increase their income, even in what some of us call the good times now.
Right. It's a big challenge. And so I think one of the things that I'm excited to see, because I remember, again, this comes up when we're having our Helping Seniors meetings, but I've heard it in the Brevard Commission on Aging. I've heard it in Golden Providers and a lot of the network meetings that we're connected to, is everybody sees this as a challenge. And kind of one of the things, Dave, I always use as a battle cry when we're advocating for seniors is like, we live in a county that we love our kids so much that we wanted them to have the best schools possible. We give them an extra 0.5-cent sales tax because we want them to have the finest schools that we could envision. So we want them to have a great experience growing up and all that. All for that, not against that. But we have more folks over 65 than we have under 18. And so always the question is, are we doing enough for our seniors,
Absolutely not. Their energy costs, they've got programs where we are involved with that harden houses to make them more energy efficient. My company was a part of all that, and a lot of it was great stuff. I will have to say, though, I never seen an exclusive project targeted to help the seniors.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Joe used to, days gone by, Joe is the guy who got Brevard Alzheimer's rolling. He got, they call them Joe's Clubs to this day. He got all that stuff done and built. And he, at one time, was head of the of the Brevard Commission on Aging. He was the chair of it. And he said, Kerry, the frustration that I saw with it is we really didn't have the authority to get anything really effectively done. And so a number of years ago, I'm talking like 2013, 2014, we began an advocacy council within Helping Seniors. And the purpose of it was try to help our county generate what we called a county-wide aging plan. We don't have one of those here in Brevard County.
Nope.
And so when we would talk to commissioners, what they would say is, we care for seniors. We have a $2 billion a year budget, but seniors use roads, they use libraries, they get all these benefits, Well, that's true, but where does most of the money go? It goes to the school system, not against the school system, but what are we doing about seniors specifically who need a little extra help, who have been the ones paying the taxes their entire
Forever.
existence,
yeah.
Right? So I guess the question is, we put together I think it was 2014, 2015. I'll have to blow the dust off of this because it's still something we want to get back to, is to have the, we weren't trying to write the plan. What we were trying to do is create a framework, get it in front of the commissioners and say, we want to help you wherever we can, but we think this county with as many seniors should have its own aging plan. And it was funny because we had some really good people we had some really good people that were on that commission. We'll talk about it more. We got to take a mid-show break, but we're going to continue the conversation with Dave Armstrong, and also we're going to get Vicki Moore into the conversation, and we're going to talk Medicare in the second half of the show. See you in just a moment.
12:33 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. It's Helping Seniors of Brevard, heard every Wednesday from 12 noon to 1 o'clock. As we get back to the show, once again, here's the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the host of our show, Kerry Fink.
Thank you, John Harper. Again, it's always great to be along for the ride on Wednesdays. Beautiful day outside, and just a nice time to gather around the radio for lunchtime on Wednesday afternoons right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. Welcome back if you're listening online at WEJF.net. And also to those people who are listening to us online. We've been having a good conversation about affordable housing. Dave Armstrong with Armstrong Custom Home Builders is in the studio. He's also got his hat in the ring for Brevard County Commission seat that's open. So we've been really taking this as an opportunity to talk about the needs of seniors for affordable housing. And also in the studio is none other than Vicki Moore, who is I call you our Medicare expert, because you actually were just running in here from a meeting where you're training up and getting all the new changes and things that are going on in the Medicare world now too, right?
Yes, it's so nice to be here today with both of you. So yes, I just came from, so the month of August and the month of September in the Medicare world is kind of our rollout time, where all of the carriers are presenting what their new plans are going to look like coming up. They'll be introduced to the public October 1st. That's when AEP begins. That's pre-AEP, when people can start, or us agents can start telling people, sharing what the plans are going to look like beginning October 1st. And then, of course, it runs between October 15th and December 7th, when people that are in the Medicare Advantage world can make changes to their plans. But as an agent, it's real exciting to kind of go to all these meetings and these kickoffs and find out what the plans, what the benefits are going to look like for the upcoming year. And I will say, of course, we're not allowed to even reveal any of that information until October 1st, but the plans are all looking great. I think there's going to be a lot of great benefits out there for all of our seniors upcoming.
I am so glad to hear that, because, we actually take our, we publish our newsletter. As you know, Vicki is actually on our board of directors, just like John Harper. And you guys know that we take every month in Senior Scene, we pull out 12 pages and we dedicate them to the work of the Helping Seniors. We call it our Helping Seniors newsletter. And our theme this year has been helping people get their ducks in a row, meaning we just want them to do a good job of planning ahead and maybe not getting caught by surprise. And so earlier this year we did a segment on legal. We've done a segment on financial. We've done segments on, hey, I want to stay in my home as long as I can. How do I keep that safe? We did one saying, well, I might be open to a new home. Maybe I'll look at assisted living or something. We did that. This month we did Let's Talk Medical, but for the month of September, and actually that issue is now going to the printers, like literally while we're speaking. You did the big article because it's Let's Talk Medicare, because you really do have your ear to the ground and know what's going on with all that.
Well, I certainly try. I mean, Medicare, there's so much information, and obviously I keep up, do my best to keep up with everything. And I think even with the new legislation that has just passed, there's going to be some definite changes to the drug programs and things like that. But that's all coming down the road. So I don't really want to get into that just yet.
Right.
But yeah, we're going to see some big changes for sure.
Yeah, I think we also do a thing at Zon Beachside. We call it the Senior Resource Center of Brevard, and we've been doing this now actually all year too, where we have a Monday morning. It's the last Monday of each month. So while I don't have the calendar in front of me, I want to tell us it's like the 25th or 26th, but it's the last Monday of the month. And so this month is going to be Let's Talk Medical, because it keeps with our theme in the magazine. Tracy Graff, who has Avid Home Care, she's going to be there speaking, and also Karen Warnland, who is a care and case manager, is going to be speaking this time. But I'm hoping you're going to be there to speak in the month of September and kind of lead the conversation about when we talk about Let's Talk Medicare, because I know what happens. Our mailbox gets flooded with all these mailers, and I know all the companies are trying to give us good information, but most of us are just not in a position to even understand the right questions to ask.
Well, yeah, I definitely would love to be there in September and talk Medicare and hopefully educate on Medicare and different things like, and, everything that goes along with that. Um, So as far as, just like I said, upcoming is really the biggest time of the year, but even throughout the year, there are opportunities where, if people aren't on the right plan or not sure if they're on the right plan, there's lots of special enrollment periods throughout the year where people can make changes. Even now, even though we're getting close to the annual enrollment period, I mean, if people are moving into the area, or if people maybe just gained Medicaid or LIS or different things like that, those give them special enrollment periods where they may, need to make changes or want to make changes for different reasons.
So, Vicki, I needed like a little acronym alert, because we live in NASA land, so we're used to hearing different acronyms. But you just used one I didn't know. LIS.
Oh, yes. So LIS kind of goes along with Medicaid. It's low income subsidy, and so that helps folks who. So I help people that have Medicare oftentimes, kind of going along with what we've been talking about. So many people are having some, a hard time, difficult time with their housing and just paying their bills in general. And a lot of people don't realize that they may qualify for Medicaid. So there's different income levels, and I can help people that have Medicare, figure out if they do qualify for Medicaid, and if they do, then I help them along with that process. But sometimes, they typically when you qualify for Medicaid or the Medicare Savings Program, you do qualify for LIS, which is the low income subsidy, which is going to help you with your medications, which obviously, there's a big need for that right now. That's why all this legislation is happening. Medications can be so expensive. But so sometimes people may qualify for Medicaid or the Medicare Savings Program, but not qualify, or so they may not qualify for that, but they may qualify for LIS, the low income subsidy, which will help them keep their drug costs very, very low. And as I mentioned earlier, I just came from one of the plan rollouts or the carrier rollouts, and they are announcing, or part of their plan this year. When you have LIS, you have different tiers of your medications with different. It keeps your costs very low, but some plans are even offering benefits this year where they're going even lower than what the LIS benefits are, where they may just be zero if these people have Medicare and Medicaid. And in the Medicare world, we call those people dual eligible. That means they have Medicare and Medicaid.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so that can be different. Oftentimes people that have both Medicare and Medicaid also have LIS, but sometimes people may just qualify for LIS. But when you have those situations, you do qualify for those special enrollment periods I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're talking with Vicki Moore, who is I call her a Medicare expert. I think your official title is you're a independent agent. Am I saying that the right way?
I guess, independent sales agent, yes.
Okay. So, but you're a great person to call because I've noticed over the time how you really get involved and you help people who really are just in a mess. They can't afford their medication. They can't figure out how to even afford their doctor's appointments. And yet, because of you have the training, the skill, the expertise, and the knowledge, you're able to help advance that situation for them and match them to something that may really impact their situation positively. And we've talked about this too. It's not just during the open enrollment period. You have access to plans that can be open throughout the year, like Care Plus we've talked about is 5-star rated.
Right.
And you have some access to that, but you also, with the number of people who are moving into Florida, they're new to Florida and they're trying to figure out the system here. So you're getting all those calls. The number of people who are turning 65 each month, you're getting all those calls. But if somebody did want to get together and get like, here's what I've got, is this the best for me? How do they reach you?
So you can reach me at 321-272-0218. That is my cell phone, and that again is 321-272-0218. And I will also say I work with a variety of demographics and incomes. I mean, I do help a lot of people that, are dual, the Medicare, Medicaid, but I also, help people that, have prescription drug plans or Medicare supplements. Or people that are just turning 65. So, across the board, I'm definitely able to help everybody. But one of the things that I seem to run into a lot, and I've kind of worked with Nancy quite a bit, with the Helping Seniors helpline, and kind of going along with what we've been talking about is the housing, is I work with so many different senior communities, and, a few of them are low income communities, and those people are, definitely struggling. And I've got one particular person who's been homeless. She's been living in her car.
Wow.
And, so I've been working diligently trying to, find a place for her to live.
Yeah.
And so it's,
That's very difficult.
Yeah.
That's like the whole conversation we've been having also with Dave Armstrong, who's been in the studio with us this hour as well. We were talking before the break that a lot about the challenges of affordable housing. We've all seen it. Joe Steckler has written, our president and founder, has written articles about it. We've really spent a long time advocating about this wherever we are. And I thought that was one of the reasons why it'd be so helpful to have Dave on the show today, because as a builder, and a person who's been involved in that kind of market for so long, I'm really hoping that we're going to find the right combination of tools. I see a lot of money coming down the pike from governments trying to say, hey, let's make a difference with it. But as we talked about before the break, I also see the frustration, because then the people who are trying to administer the money inside the Brevard County, they say, well, we have this for low-income people, but then they can't qualify for the mortgage that would help them get the down payment assistance. So you can see that they're like, these people are between a rock and a hard place. And I want to come back real quick for just a couple of moments and talk a little bit more about this idea that I didn't get all the way out before we got to our mid-show break, which was that Joe had advocated that we come up with a county-wide aging plan. So it's basically, it kind of puts it on the map. Everybody looks at it as a roadmap. They understand it. And it was interesting. What I was starting to say was we had a bunch of really good people that had gathered together. Our goal was not to complete the plan. Our goal was simply to get it into an outline form, get it in front of the commissioners, advocate for them to accept that plan, and then devote some resources within the county to do that. And we would be there to facilitate, help, however that would be. And one of the interesting things was at that time, now again, this was 2014, 2015, the folks that were on that committee, they were scouring the country to find out who had the best aging plans. And the one that our group, not saying we're brilliant or anything like that, but the one that our group liked in 2014, of all places, came out of Catawba County, North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina. That's not a city that you would think was like senior populated or senior heavy. But they actually had the one that everybody said, this is a model that we could maybe build on from here. And it's interesting because we have a couple of communities that have won the AARP award for being senior communities, Satellite Beach being one of them, as an example. But as a county, we don't have any such comprehensive plan. And so, that's been, and I've heard that same frustration come up on Brevard Commission on Aging. I would really love to see us have that opportunity, because I guess no matter what happens, we're going to have new commissioners coming coming up. Hopefully that would include you. But and I know that's what we're talking about. But with your experience as a builder, you certainly have that. You have that understanding of what the challenges are.
And thank you, because I believe I do. But there's a lot of land that's owned by this county, and that land could be used for, first of all, probably single story sprawl. Communities, but everything that I've seen and I am presently involved with is, like you say, it's for low income. And we don't have a plan. And I can cite 2 or 3 locations I know about that the county's trying to buy the dirt, and all they have to do is let it loose and put an RFP out there and see who qualifies. And once upon qualification, you start building low income housing and do it in stages. So you get, 20, 30, 40 people in a house, then you do 20, 30, 40 people in the same parcel of land, but everybody's going to have to give up something. When you have $10,000 worth of ancillary fees on a $2,000 building permit, I think we got some wiggle room in there to work.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this because I know I've heard Joe say this over and over, is like we have to find a way to make this work for the seniors, because he used to quote the statistic Like we're the 24th oldest county in America or something like that, and
I wouldn't doubt it.
it's way up there in terms of Florida. We're like third or something, I think, and so we should be able to lead the nation about how we look after seniors, not just be tagging along to try to catch up. And so I'm really hoping that as we go forward into 2023, that we're going to be able to really kind of like cycle back and find some folks on the commission who are willing to really sit down and try to tackle the hard questions. I mean, there's no easy answers or it would have been done. I mean, we all get that. But I think half of it is getting the attention, starting to say this needs to be a priority. We can do better for our seniors in Brevard County. So that's really where I'm hoping we're headed.
Well, it's interesting. Osceola County just got a large sum of money, and they've already announced what they're doing with it.
Yeah?
I mean, they've announced they're going to build X number of condominiums for low income. They're going to do this. They're going to put X number of programs together to harden houses to make them more efficient. So it's all in the rollout and it's all in the doing.
And I guess it's also in the will of the leadership, right? Doesn't that sort of to some extent come from the top, meaning the commissioners in that county say we need to do this? Is that
Absolutely, because you can't drag your feet on this money because there are restrictions on this money. If you don't use it, you have to send it back.
right?
And to me, that's just egregious to have to send money back after you get it free from the state. I mean,
Right.
I've never had that problem. I can definitely spend it, but it doesn't make sense to have to send it back because the wheels of progress go slow.
Right, right. Well, so we've been talking with Dave Armstrong of Armstrong Custom Builders. He's also tell me again the seat you're looking for.
County Commissioner, District 4, which starts about Lake Washington Road and goes north through Vieira, Suntree, etc., where there's a lot of opportunity to put in some senior housing, low income.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to having you back on the show as you're a county commissioner and looking into the future. But in all cases, I really appreciate the fact that you are engaged in and trying to think of solutions for this because as we were talking about during the break, Vicki Moore, who's in the studio with us, you were just talking about, you're talking about trying to work and help Medicare plans out for people who are living in their cars. I mean, that's got to be a challenge for you too.
Yeah, definitely a challenge. I got good news from my one particular client. She and I talk a lot, and she was sharing. She's actually going to be moving out of the area to find housing. I mean, she's moving to Miami. She's got a cousin that's going to let her live with her, but she had hoped to stay here. There was one place I think I found for her that was a 7 month to 1 year waiting list. But in the meantime, so many people are living in the woods or in their cars, and it's a very difficult situation. And like you mentioned earlier, David, these are people that have been taxpayers for such a long time, and now all of a sudden, it's just a really difficult situation.
Yeah, I'll put a capstone on it like this by saying, I have listened to Nancy and Joe counsel people who will call us. They say, well, we live up in I live up in Chicago or I live up in New Jersey, and I'm moving to Florida because I like the weather better, and so I've got my Social Security income. So how do I get housing vouchers? How do I get meal vouchers and things like that? And they're like, stop, don't come to Florida. This isn't that kind of state. If that's where you paid your taxes, you need to take advantage of those services there because they have those services. We're not really set at that level here in Florida. And so that's the thing that we need to stay on, this topic of affordable housing. So I want to thank Dave Armstrong for being in the studio today, and also to say again, Vicki, thank you for what you're doing for seniors as well. And in the couple of minutes we have left, we're going to talk about a couple of dates I want you to get on your calendar. The first one is October 29th, because, Vicki, you know why that date's important.
It's a big date, yes,
Yep.
sir.
Talk about it.
Okay, so that is the culmination of that's the night of the
Grand drawing.
The grand drawing.
Yes.
And it's being held at the Muscle Car Museum on Sarno Road. I don't know
Yes.
the exact address there,
Perfect.
Kerry, but so the rest of the year, Helping Seniors of Brevard board members and lots of friends of Helping Seniors of Brevard are out, letting people know about this great opportunity to donate to Helping Seniors of Brevard. And when they donate, of course, you get to get your name in the drawing to win a car. And so that's pretty exciting. But yeah.
And actually, it's your choice of a car, right? So you can pick. They all come from AJ Hires dealerships. You can take a Dodge Challenger. You can take a Camaro, you could take a Kia Sportage, or your particular favorite. Talk about it.
So yes, I am. I guess you could call me captain of Team Mazda. So yeah, so that's the car. That's my favorite. I actually drive a Mazda right now, which I've got the CX-5, which I just love. And as you mentioned earlier, we were out there I think it was last weekend. We had some great food we were sharing, and talking to people about donating to Helping Seniors to win that car, to choose a car. So that was really, really fun. But yeah, so if you are the lucky person that your name gets drawn that night at the Muscle Car Museum, then I say choose the Mazda.
I love it. So, hey, listen, while we're talking about that, if you're out and about Saturday now, it's not the Mazda, but we are going to talk about the Dodge Challenger, because what we've been doing, we call it Automotive August, and we've been at each of the dealerships to give people a moment to take a close-up look at each of the cars. So you're right. We were at the Mazda dealership, and then we were at the Kia dealership. This weekend, this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., we're going to be at the Dodge dealership right up there in Cocoa. And then on the last Saturday, we're going to be at Boniface Hire Chevrolet right there in Melbourne. And each time, Chef Jillian with Chefs for Seniors has been cooking up some great Hawaiian barbecue pork sliders. So lunch is on us when you come out 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. while supplies last at the dealership. So again, this Saturday, it's going to be Boniface Hires Dodge, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., right off of 520, just east of I-95. And then the last Saturday of the month is we'll be at Boniface Hire Chevrolet right there on US 1. And of course, like Vicki was saying, it all winds up on the 29th of October. You got to be in it to win it. You can get tickets. How do you get tickets? Show up at a dealership. Call Vicki. She's got tickets. How do we reach you, Vicki?
Call me at 321-272-0218, and I definitely deliver.
And we should make sure your office, Dave, has tickets as well. So they could reach you, Dave Armstrong, who is a candidate for one of the commission seats in District 4. Am I saying that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then you can also call 321-473-7770. That's our helpline number. And you can talk to Nancy Deerdorf. She'll get you tickets by phone. You can go by any Boniface Hires dealership, or you can just go right online, pick them up safely and securely at helpingseniorscarraffle.com. But you got to be in it to win it. So much fun coming up ahead with all of that. We want to thank you guys for being part of the Helping Seniors radio show today and sharing some thoughts on affordable housing. We realize this is like the first conversation of many that we have to have if we're going to make the impact. But it's nice to see people who have the knowledge and experience taking the time to put a hat in the ring to say, I think I can make a difference about this. And that's so important. And Vicki, again, how you're making a difference one life at a time by helping them get to the right Medicare, Medicaid solution, whatever that is, that's going to make their senior years the best. So I want to thank you guys both for being on the radio show today. Thank you, listener, for joining us lunchtimes right here on 90.3 FM. And on behalf of Joe Steckler, Nancy Deerdorf, our entire crew, we will see you next week on Helping Seniors Radio.